Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews, and today we are discussing Moana 2. And this time Moana sets out with her new crew across the ocean to answer an unexpected call from her ancient ancestors. I've got to be honest with you, it's a little bit of a hot take, but I really don't care for the first movie. Don't get me wrong, I far from hate it, I just don't really feel anything towards it, to be honest with you. But it's just a movie that I completely and utterly struggle to engage with every time it's on. I find it so easy to just get up and do something else instead. So as you can imagine, I really wasn't all that excited to go into the sequel. I don't think the trailers look particularly interesting, and despite my struggles with the movie, Moana never really felt like a film that needed a sequel. Of course it was going to have one, but it never felt like it needed it. It's a pretty nicely wrapped up and conclusive story in and of itself. But money talks and Moana sells. And sadly, all of my biggest concerns about this movie ended up coming true. Yeah, Moana 2 is a complete and utter cash grab that does not need to exist, and nor do you need to rush out and spend your hard-earned money on it. But before we dive into quite a long list of negatives, I can at least say that the film is far from the worst thing I've seen this year. In fact, I thought the animation was stunning. It was really impressive at times. The colour schemes were wonderful, the water effects were really well done. It does offer a vibrancy and energy to it. The voice cast are fine, but it just wasn't rewarding enough considering how many negatives there were, of which we will now gladly dive into. Moana 2, narratively, is an absolute shambles. Not only is it poorly paced, but there are several aspects that are just completely and utterly irrelevant. The movie's only an hour and 40 minutes long, and yet by the end of the film, there still felt like there were so many scenes that just did not need to be here. And because of this shoddy pacing, it felt so much longer than an hour and 40 minutes, let me tell you. Because there are just giant portions of this film where nothing is happening. They're trying to give you this character development and further expansion of their world, but it's all so boring. I hated almost every single one of the new characters introduced here. It doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me as to why they're even here. If Moana can sail off on her own in the first movie when she's got zero experience under her belt, why would she now need a crew? And none of them, absolutely none of them, were of any use to us. They were just complete and utter hindrances with every single scene. I felt sorry for Moana having to deal with these idiots. Seriously, I would have kicked them overboard. I couldn't have taken it any longer. Incompetence at the highest level, which makes the characters frankly quite hateful and annoying. I did not enjoy them. I'm glad to have seen the back of them. I don't remember their names and I don't want to know their names. I don't want to see them again. Maui starts with this side plot which is actually more interesting than what's going on for Moana, but again, later on in the movie you realise none of that meant anything. It led to nothing. There was no point to it at all. We could have cut the whole thing and it would have been a more cohesive and smoother ride. And yet that was the interesting thing happening. That's how boring everything else is. The irrelevant stuff is what's interesting. And I think that's mostly because it's almost a complete and utter rinse and repeat storyline here. We are basically doing exactly what we did in the first movie again. But this time it's with a thunder god that's angry instead of a fire lady god. Same damn thing. None of it felt wondrous. None of it felt new. It felt tired. It felt lazy. It felt repetitive. It felt out of ideas. It felt like this movie was being made for the money and the money alone. There's only maybe 5 songs in this movie overall, but I've got to be honest, there's only one that really stuck with me to any level at all, and it's still not very good. What could be better than this is okay. It's a very 7 out of 10 song. It is the best song in the film, if you ask me, because every other song in this movie just went in one ear and straight out the other. They weren't catchy, they weren't interesting, they weren't memorable, and they often felt like place fillers at times. It felt like a scene would end and they didn't really know how to get to the next scene, so insert song here, I guess. Didn't always come very naturally. Maui has a new song instead of You're Welcome, and oh my god, what a downgrade. His song is so bad it borders on laughable. Again, it's just so lazily written. Moana, go get your destiny. You're gonna make history. Who the fuck wrote that? Seriously, I'm no musician, not by a long shot, but I genuinely think even I could come up with better than that. But no, first try's a winner, I guess. And unfortunately, I've just been left with this bitter and quite sour taste in my mouth since watching this movie. I wasn't expecting an awful lot from it, but damn was this underwhelming. It was tediously boring at times. I have zero interest in ever watching this again. Far from the worst thing I've seen this year, and yeah, sure, there is the odd aspect where it is okay. Like I said, one song worked for me, the graphics, animation was very impressive, but it just wasn't worth the goddamn boredom. And I'm gonna give Moana 2 a 3 out of 10. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. Have you seen Moana 2? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you haven't had enough of this crazy ginger, we can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in an IMO wormhole. But if not, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.